Count Corley, I listened to the Taoiseach's speech this evening, and I have to say he excelled himself in his last week. Theoretical physicist Stephen Hawking, before he died, wrote about the possibility of there being a parallel universe. And the Taoiseach's speech was a parallel universe to the experience of most people living in this country at the moment. It's very clear, Minister, that the measure of success or failure for a Minister for Housing is the provision of an adequate number of houses. It's as simple as that for their people, either through public provision or a functioning market that can provide those houses. And on that basis, Minister, the government is failing severely. It's an incredible situation, and it gives me no pleasure to say it whatsoever. For this government to have adequate housing, we need to build 50,000 homes every year for the next 10 years. And you are miles away from that target. And even the target that you set yourselves last year of 28,000 homes, you missed. So this year, you reduced the target by 5,000 homes. And the most worrying aspect of this, the most frightening aspect of this for most people is the current figures in relation to commencement notices and the fact that they are significantly down and likely to be significantly down for next year. There's a massive human and societal cost to what's happening. We have record homelessness, record local authority housing waiting lists, record rents and record house prices. How could we have confidence in a government or a minister which that is the result of their work? And I want to say people are literally dying on the streets in relation to this in our towns and cities. Ainto has found out that over 357 people have died on the streets of this capital alone in the last 5 years. An incredible figure, a national disaster equivalent to a 747 crashing in 5 years. And that's just this city. No other local authority in the state records the number of homeless people that dies in the streets. I have asked you to do that, Minister, and it hasn't been done. It's an incredible situation. And we have young couples who are putting off having their children because they're living in a box room in their parents' home. We have young parents who don't see their kids from one end of the week to the other because they're commuting 3 hours a day because they can't afford a home close to where they live. Teachers, Gardaí, nurses. We can't get the staff for our public services because they can't afford accommodation on the wages that they're in at the moment. And through all of this, we have a minister who's not doing what's necessary. We were the only state in the whole of Europe where house building was closed for a full quarter during the COVID crisis. We were the only state that hasn't got to grips with the level of vacant homes that exist in this country. It's an incredible thing that the Minister for Finance, Paschal Donohoe, has resisted putting a tax on empty homes for as long as he possibly could. And now there's a vacant home tax potentially in the offing that is nowhere near significant enough to actually change the behaviour of those people who are sitting on those homes and watching the prices of those homes increase at the moment. And we have 160,000 vacant homes, according to the statistics. We put a parliamentary question in recently. It showed that 392 homes have applied for the vacant property refurbishment grant. That's an incredible figure, a staggering figure, compared to what's actually happening in terms of the number of vacant homes that there are at the moment. And then the direct provision of this, the fact that 11 local authorities failed to build a single local authority home in the first 6 months. 3 Dublin councils failed to build a single home in the first 6 months. A total of 647 homes in the first 6 months. That is an incredible response to the enormity of the housing crisis that is bearing down so heavily on people's shoulders at the moment. And the reforms that you have managed to proceed with, the government has been forced kicking and screaming to implement those. Airbnbs have been taking homes out of the long-term let market for so long, and it's only now that we're getting to grips with that. We have rent controls, eviction bans, and the reform of REITs and institutional investors. Again, glacial reforms when they were needed the most. It really frustrates me, but this minister is in reverse, and he's following the same pattern of the previous ministers, and I can't support him.